it's Sharon here. Welcome back to my channel for those who are returning, and welcome to any new subscribers that may be visiting for the first time. So I'm ready to get started with you all on my mini journals. Now, I have been doing a little bit of work behind the scene and I'll share that with you in a moment. I've just been working on the covers. So I have one here prepped and ready to go. I just love this fabric. This is from an old Doona cover. And I just love it. It's so pretty. And I decided I wanted to team that up with my 1908 kit from JunkWithSteph. So I shared a flip through of a couple of different kits from JunkWithSteph that I've printed at 2 to a page, and I'm going to use those to create a little mini journal. Now, the base for my journal, I've got bits and pieces in here. The base for my journal is this envelope, and I will share those with you. I have the packet just here. So this is a packet of envelopes that I purchased from my local Kmart here in Australia. They are a C5 size envelope, and the measurements are 229 millimeters by 162 millimeters. And I went looking amongst the envelope sizes that I have here to find one that I thought might work with an A5 or as an A5 size journal. That's kind of what I'm aiming for. So I will measure the envelope and give you an idea in inches. So roughly it's 9 inches across, and it is 2, 4, 6. So 6 and 6/16 in height. So I've prepped what I want for this cover. I just think this is going to be such a pretty journal. And I'm ready. I need to move these things out of the way. So the first thing I have here is I have my envelope, and I'm just going to take my envelope and I'm going to seal it. Now, I did some tea staining just recently, and I stained some envelopes that had this little strip across the tacky part of the envelope, and the strip, this particular piece of paper, it's like a plasticky paper. It's got almost a smooth sheen to it, and I didn't think it would stain very well, but it actually did. And I ended up keeping those. I don't know if I've got them behind me actually. Just bear with me for a moment. Here are a couple here. So they were still attached to the envelope, and they do still have a little bit of tackiness to them, but they've stained really well. So I have normally thrown those out in the past, but I'll definitely be keeping them from now on. So that's my little tip for today. Okay, so sealed my envelope, and I have a piece of white, just plain white normal copy paper here that I have cut to the same size as my envelope. I have made a journal cover in the past, and when I was making it, the fabric that I had to go over the part where the join in the envelope was, or the flap side, it was slightly see-through, was a little bit sheer. So I like to pop just a plain piece of paper over the top of that side of the envelope just to hold it in place. Now, I usually use my fabric glue, and I'm going to apologize in advance because my fabric glue is ridiculously thick at the moment. I really need to get some acetone to thin it down, and unfortunately we are in lockdown at the moment, and the only place I've found that I can get it from don't do online sales. So I'm trying to be very patient with it and wait it out so that I can get some when lockdown is over. So I hope you're all safe, well, and fabulous. I've been really excited to, I say that all the time, I've been really excited to come into my craft room. Every time I'm in here, it's the same thing, and it's the truth. I've been really excited to start these little mini journals, and I'm feeling really inspired by the whole concept. So, and I don't know why, because I mean, they're exactly the same as a large journal, just smaller. So anyway, I'm going to struggle with this. I've had to really squeeze the bottle, and it's just not. Just going to see if I can make sure I don't have any blockage. I think my glue is just so thick at the moment that it's actually drying inside the nozzle. It wasn't that long ago I cleaned the nozzle out and it made such a difference, but it seems to have been very short-lived. So just attaching my piece of paper over the top, just trying to make sure I line it up relatively straight. And if you're still with me by now after that gluing, then you've done really well. I will probably fast forward it. I stopped talking so I can, because it's almost as interesting as watching paint dry, although sometimes I really like to do that, but don't tell anybody I said that. I'm not sure anyone will believe you anyway. Okay, so I have a couple of little lumps and bumps under my paper from the glue, and it's just because it's drying way quicker than I can get it out of the bottle at the moment. Mostly it's not too bad. Okay, I think I have a new bottle of fabric glue, but I'm really reluctant to open it because I'm worried that the same thing will happen. So I'm trying to persevere with this one as best I can. Okay, so that's my envelope ready. And from Mia, I've taken this lining here. Now this fabric is actually called, I believe it's called Zorb. And it was given to me by somebody who had purchased it and decided that it wasn't going to suit their needs. So I've been using it to line the covers of my journals. I love it. It's quite thick and quite durable. I did buy some patchwork or some quilting, what do you call it? Padding or lining, or you know what I mean. I actually spent a day, I think, looking in my craft room to try and find it. I bought 2 packets. They came as pre-cut packets, and I bought 2, and I couldn't find it anywhere. So I'm really well known for hiding things or putting things in a safe place and forgetting where they are, and that's exactly what I've done. So I'm using this. So all I did was cut a piece slightly bigger than what I needed, and I attached it with my fabric glue. And I say I have because I've actually prepared a couple in advance. So I just wanted to show you. I have been attaching it to, I think I did some either side. I think 1 or 2 I did on the side where the paper is, and 1 or 2 I did on the side where the envelope is. It doesn't really matter. I do tend to like the envelope face to be on the outside cover, so just keep that in mind. That's a piece that I've already put the paper on the front of, or sorry, on the back of already. And I have here, it's like the magic of the video, I have one I prepared earlier. So this is how it looks. So the back of my envelope there, and I have my lining on one side. And from there, I get to attach my fabrics. Now, I'm not going to sew this on camera because it's just too hard with the setup I have at the moment. but I wanted to talk you through it before I go ahead. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to create a pocket on the inside. So this is my front, and that goes over that beautiful lining. And then on the back, so I'm just going to line that up, and I might actually attach that now, I'm thinking, because I can. And again, it will be like watching paint dry, because it means I need to use my fabric glue, so please hang in there. If I pick this up, I can actually see through my fabric reasonably well to know if it's reasonably centered. I have a light that's in front of me that I use for videoing. Well, actually I use it whenever I'm in my craft room. I use it because it's so much easier to see when you have really good lighting. And so if I hold it up, I can see the light coming through from there, and I use that as part of my crafting tools, I suppose, when I'm working, to be able to see through things, to check placement, or I don't know, other things. I don't know where I was going with that. I just find it really, really handy. Now this is going to be really stubborn. So I'm going to scooch you through this part because it will go slowly, and I'll see you at the other side. Basically, I'm just going to cover the whole thing in glue. You can put as much or as little as you want down. I am sewing afterwards, but I do want it to be fairly well in place. And I'm not moving my left hand at the moment because the fabric may shift. So I'm keeping my hand nice and firm on that fabric to hold it in place, which is really tricky when my glue is playing silly games. I find if I hold my glue bottle just above this lining fabric, I don't get as many of the fibers on my glue bottle. And I'm just going to repeat on the other side. Once you have that first side glued down, it's okay to lift your hand. The fabric isn't going anywhere once that side is glued down. So okay, and that is my front fabric done. So if I turn it over, you can see I've got roughly an even amount all the way around. It's not exact, it won't be an exact science, but I'm happy with that. Now, this back piece, because I've decided to pop a pocket on there, normally I would put the fabric onto the back now, and I have a couple here that I've prepared earlier. This piece of fabric, it reminds me of a flannelette. It isn't, it's a cotton, but it has such a beautiful tactile feel about it. It's so soft. And then I've just got the calico on the back. And I haven't done a pocket for these. I may decide to. I haven't really decided. And then that is my other cover. So I've made 2 and I've prepped, I've got 1 more cover liner ready to go. I'm thinking I might sew this lace on here first. So, and my fabric is upside down, I've just realized. Is it? No, I did have it the right way. Okay. So I might just pop a tiny spot of glue in a couple of areas to hold this in place, and then I'm going to take it to my sewing machine and I'm going to do a zigzag just to hold that lace in place. I don't want a lot of glue, and potentially I probably don't need the glue, but it will give you an idea of what it will look like. And very handy specifically for that little edge there that's curling. Okay. And I need my scissors. I'm just going to cut that little piece of lace off. Just inside where the frayed edge is. Okay, not necessarily ideal to sew after I've put fabric glue down, but I'm going to just pop a zigzag across there and I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so I'm back again. I have actually done a double row of zigzag. The first row I did was quite low and I wanted to get a little bit closer to the top, so I did a second row of zigzag across there. And I have an extra piece of baking paper, or I think in some countries it's called parchment paper. I just want to add some fray stop to the top of this pocket. So this is the Helmer fray stopper. I got this in my local Spotlight. It was on sale at the time. I think I only paid about $5 for it. And it's been absolutely fabulous. And a little goes a long way. So I usually just pop it on my mat. This is the easiest way I've found to apply it. And I just rub it in with my fingers. So this does have a strong smell, so you want to make sure that you're in a well ventilated room when using it. Just popping that all the way along there. Okay, and I'm going to just set that to the side to dry while I attach my backing fabric. Okay, so popping that to the side. And then here I have my cover. Oh my gosh, that's so pretty. I haven't decided which way around I want it to go. I feel like that's presenting itself as the front to me. The other thing I often do with my soft covers is I kind of give them a little fold before I finish them off, just so that I know where center is and it is a natural fold. as you could see a moment ago, it wasn't wanting to fold properly, and I find if I do it before I cover it properly, I get a much better fold in the long run. Okay, so I mentioned that this fabric was from an old doona, so this is actually the lining of that doona cover. And they look so beautiful together on the doona itself. I decided I would use that on the inside layer of the journal cover. And I think I'm pretty happy with that placement. So again, it's going to be slow going with the glue, so I'm going to do this and pop it up at 1.5 or double speed for you so that you don't have to weather the storm with me. I do apologize. Okay, so I know that some people don't like to put as much glue on their fabric before they sew. I don't like my fabric to move around, or I've also found sometimes if I haven't put as much glue on to hold it in place, when I sew, the sewing needle on the sewing machine kind of pulls the fabric to one side, and so I get a little bit of gathering, which is why I like to make sure I have a good coverage of glue there to hold it all in place. So I'm pretty happy with that, and I'm just going to check and see. That seems relatively dry. It doesn't seem to take very long for the fray stopper to dry off. And just checking my placement with the fabric. And I like that there. So I'm going to sew that into place. I will probably, and I say probably because I'm not 100% sure until I actually do it, but I will probably sew on this side to make sure, well, I will sew on this side first to make sure I have the cover and the pocket in place properly. In actual fact, I think I'd like to pop just a couple of larger paper clips I have here. I've seen some people use the really big paper clips, especially when working with signatures, and I'm just like, they look so fabulous. I need to get some of those, and I haven't been able to source them. I have no idea where people are getting them from, but they look fabulous. My other set of hands, as I referred to my paper clips. So just popping this here so that it doesn't shift when I first start sewing. I've said before, I'm not a sewer. I had a little bit of an epiphany with my sewing machine just the other day. I changed the tension on my sewing machine, and Oh my gosh, it feels like it's working so much smoother. I was just like, why have I not looked into that sooner? So I'm going to sew around the edge of the envelope first, and then I may flip it over and sew in the same spot on the other side. I'm thinking I may bring my stitches out a little bit further in another set of stitching as well. I'd like to sew down on the outside of the envelope as well, I think. But I'll see how it looks and what I think as I'm sewing. So I'm going to do that and I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back again. You can see I've got a really lovely pocket on the inside and the front is absolutely gorgeous. I have ended up with this part of the cover as the front, and this is the back, and I'm okay with that. I feel like that pink marries in with the kit better than the purple, so I'm kind of pleased that it worked out that way. So what I'm going to do from there, I'm just going to fray the bottom of the front piece a little more, and I'm not going to throw away, if I can detach them from my fingers, I'm not going to throw away those threads. I don't ever throw away my threads. I've got a lovely little container of threads on my desk to the right, and it just makes me really happy to look at. So I'm just trying to level it off roughly with the fabric that I've got on the inside. And it won't be perfect. I feel like that's pretty good actually. And I need to do that all the way around. Pretty happy with that side. I don't have a lot of fraying there, but that's okay. I feel like I can fray a couple of more pieces from the top. Doesn't need to be exact, and maybe a couple from the side here. Okay, I'm happy with that, and I'm going to, I'm sorry folks, tackle my glue again, and I'm going to add some fabric glue all the way around the edge just to hold that in place. And then once I've done that, I'm going to use my fray stop on the edges of my fabric all the way around and leave that to dry. So I'm going to go ahead and do this, and because my glue isn't running smoothly, I will probably once again speed it up and show you at 1.5 or double time, just for ease of viewing. And I'll see you when I've finished. Okay, so that's my gluing taken care of. I'm pretty happy with the way that's sitting. I can also go back and add more glue if I need to. So I'm then taking my paper here. Just looking for my phrase stop because I put it away and I forgot. Okay. So I'm going to go around the edges on both the outside and the inside just to make sure I've got all of the edges. As you saw, or probably saw, it's not exactly the same width all the way around, and I could cut it, but I'm not particularly worried about it. Okay, so I'm turning it over and I'm working on the opposite side, just making sure I've got the fabric on both sides covered across the edges to stop that fraying as much as possible. I kind of have it frayed where I'd like it to be, and there may be a little bit of natural fraying, but I don't want it to be too excessive, so I like the fray stop for that reason. Doing this kind of, it reminds me of the edges of old rugs that are on the floor where the fibres start to gather together and mat a little bit. I like that look. I actually don't remember if I've done this side, so I'm doing it again just in case, or I'm doing it for the first time and I don't realise that it's the first time. I have no idea. I don't think I've done it, but just in case. Okay, fabulous. And that is my cover done. I just need to set that aside to dry. My fray stop won't go back into the holder properly. I've got something that's fallen, so I need to move that. Okay, so I'm going to leave that to dry. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. I love it. I'm really glad I folded it before I put the backing fabric on there. So I am going to set that aside to dry. I did think about doing some papers for my signature in this video, but I think I'll leave it. And I have my other journal covers that I've prepared, so I might finish those off in the meantime between now and when I video next, and I'll see you soon. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I'm really loving the idea of these little mini journals, and I cannot wait to start putting them together. So I look forward to seeing you all soon. Please everybody, stay safe, stay inspired, and happy crafting. I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.